Hello, everyone. Welcome to our brief meeting concerning the Washington Redskins name controversy. My name is Simon Sponane, and I will be the speaker for the day. During the presentation, we will discuss the history, barrier to intercultural communication, propose a solution to the conflict, and the communication strategy. The history analysis. The birth of Washington Redskins. Washington Redskins is one of the National Football League oldest franchise, founded in 1932 by George Preston Marshall as the Boston Braves, and in 1933 Marshall changed the name to Redskins. The team relocated from Boston to Washington, D.C. in 1937. The stakeholders, who are the individuals involved and affected by the team's name controversy, are Dan Signers, who is the current owner of the team, Native American, and the team sponsors, the players, and of course the fans. How the controversy started. Although the Washington Redskin name controversy has been on debate for many years, the word Redskin has not always been considered to be negative or slur name as it is perceived to be now. Back in the early 18th century, the Native American used the word redskin as means for identifying themselves in contrast to the white-skinned European settlers. On July 5th, 1933, George Preston Marshall changed the name to Boston Redskins till when they relocated to Washington, D.C. in 1937 and the name changed to Washington Redskins. 1937, Marshall's wife, Corinne Griffin, wrote the lyrics to Redskin Anthem, which you can listen to at the end of the presentation if you choose to. In 1967, the Washington Redskins obtained the first of six federal trademark registration with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. Since 1988, National Congress of American Indians, which is the largest Native American rights organization, has been protesting the Redskin name and deemed the name to be a stereotype, claiming Redskin derived from the policy of colonization in which bounties were paid for the blood-skin scalp of American Indian and Alaskan Native men, women, and children as proof of their killings during the onset of the French and Indian War. In 1999, Native American activist Susan Shawn filed a lawsuit in the U.S. Patent and Trade Office against the Redskin name. After 7 years of litigation, the United States Patent and Trade Organization decided the trademark using the term Redskin were disparaging to the Native American when registered, and ordered six trademarks using the word to be canceled. The decision was reversed on appeal in 2003, and in 2014, the same six trademarks were again canceled by the United States Patent Office Trademark Organization. Barriers to intercultural communication analysis. The three barriers associated to the Washington Redskins name controversy are assuming similarity instead of difference, ethnocentrism, stereotype, and prejudice. Assuming similarity instead of difference is when one have no information about a new culture and it might make sense to assume no difference exists, and making that assumption can result in miscommunication. Former Redskin owner Jack Kent Cook and current owner Dan Sanders said the Redskin name stands for bravery, courage, and steward spirit. This motto was developed from an assumption mindset in thinking similarity instead of difference in the culture. Each culture is different and unique, and best never to assume and ask questions when you are unfamiliar of others' culture. Ethnocentrism is negatively judging aspect of another culture by the standards of one's own culture. Native American culture are more misunderstood and degraded than any other race. The Native American culture was the, uh, regarded as savage by the European settler. One example of this was European settler thought Christianity was the one true faith and all people should believe in it. And because Native Americans were not Christian, they could not be trusted and thought of them as evils. Stereotype is described as judgment made about others on the basis of any ethnic group membership. Anyone can stereotype and anyone can be the target of stereotyping. the National Congress of American Indian, and other tribal organizations have protested the name of Washington Redskin as portraying a demeaning stereotype. Redskin has a Redskin has historically been an ethnic slur. Dictionary.com defined the name Redskin as a despairing and offensive. Proposed solution. On July 13, 2020, the team sent out a press release confirming the announcement of retiring the Redskin name and logo and placing a temporary name of the Washington football team till the conclusion of permanent name. While this solution is temporary, the following are things the team should consider as they move on to the permanent decision of solving the name controversy. 1. If the team still want to keep honoring Native American by associating the team name with them, this should involve leaders from the indigenous people in the name change decision making. 2. If they want to go different route with the name, they should avoid any name that may cause controversy, such as the current suggestion of Washington Red Tails, which referring to the Tuskegee Airmen, a group of African American pilots who flew during the World War II. Just like Redskin, it may seem like a good idea first, but it may create some controversy later on down the line. And lastly, they should consider returning to its original name, but instead of Boston Brave, as it was known in 1932, it should be changed to the Washington Brave, and the color scheme should remain the same. There is no need to change the burgundy and gold that fans have chanted for over 80 years. Communication strategy. The following are the steps that will help the team with the name change implementation. 1. An initial meeting should be held with the team owner, sponsor, coach, stakeholders to discuss which approach should be taken regarding the new name. Secondly, a second meeting should be held with the team owner again, the player, and if the team decided on maintaining the Native American theme on the name, they should also invite indigenous leaders to this meeting. Thirdly, once an official name has been decided, it should be announced publicly with the multi-channel approach. They can launch commercials, send emails and mails to all subscribed fans, etc. During the launching, then signers should do a public speech apologizing to the Native American and explaining to the fan why the name had to be changed. And finally, after 6 months of launching the new name, and presenting the new name and logo to the public, a survey should be conducted to gain feedback on how well the new name is welcome amongst the fan and everyone involved. This concludes our presentation for today. Thank you for your time and attention.